Hey folks, this is Nate coming at you. It's early on a Friday, May 10th. So let's talk quality versus quantity when it comes to purchasing lightsabers. I've noticed on YouTube a lot, there's been a bit of an uptick in a lot of YouTube influencers, some with some fairly high subscription counts, uh, basically pawning off really cheap, poorly made, mass produced, um, well, garbage, really, and telling people that these are the best bang for your buck in terms of getting into the lightsaber hobby, because these sabers are cheaper and are, supposedly more budget friendly for you. But my argument against that is that at the end of the day, you're ending up spending $150 to $250 on a saber that's likely not going to perform very well. Um, may have a propensity to break sooner because the components being used in those sabers are of lower quality. And you may be dealing with companies that don't have the most reputable customer service. What I want to do here is I want to make an argument for, and this is especially for those of you who are new to the hobby, that are counting the dollars in your wallet and trying to figure out what you can budget for. This is really, this message and this video is really aimed for you all. I want to make an argument for jumping to that next step right away, and going for those mid-tier, high-tier sabers. They're going to be a little bit more expensive, but these are sabers that are still attainable within your budget constraints. You can just simply buy them in stages. So, for example, I would much rather, if I were starting the hobby today as a new collector, I wish I had gotten the advice, um, that I know now back then 4 years ago, and I would have gladly, waited a few months, saved up a little bit more money, and spent, for $450 to $550 for that first saber that would have delivered me much higher quality from a company that has a much more reputable customer service, where I would get, I would get my needs met a lot faster and a lot better. And so what I want to do tonight is I'm going to show you 3 examples of sabers from saber companies that I consider to be the best in their class. It's sort of like in the mid-tier price range. These are sabers that are in the $450 to $550 price range that I believe are worth every penny. And most saber companies now have payment plans. So, for instance, if your budget is still somewhere between $250 to $300, instead of going for that really cheaply made saber that that you're not sure about, that you just saw because some YouTube influencer that doesn't know a damn thing about lightsabers is telling you that you should buy because they got free product from that company to sponsor it. Instead of doing that, take some time, maybe join some Facebook saber groups, ask around in there, or go and check out some of these more highly reputable companies that have been putting out really beautiful saber designs and high quality saber builds and really good quality saber installs for a long time now, and check out what they have to offer. And a lot of times what you'll find is that these companies now also allow you to purchase these sabers in installments, so that you don't have to have that $550 all up front. You can use programs like PayPal, paying in installments, or Klarna, or Affirm. There's a lot of these there's a lot of these installment plan applications that a lot of these companies have begun to use, mostly because they all recognize that the economy being what it is, they don't want to lock people out of having access to their products simply because they're worth more money. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you 3 quick examples and then a little bit more commentary at the end. So this is not a specific endorsement of these companies directly, although I do business regularly with all 3 of these companies, and I do recommend them, but I recommend them as part of a larger pool of mid and high tier good quality saber companies. So this is not a video endorsing these 3 companies specifically. It's more about what they represent within the saber hobby, within the saber community. So the first one is Bendu Armory. Bendu Armory makes carbon fiber sabers, not aluminum. Although their chassis are metal, their hilts are carbon fiber weaves. They do lots of different types of weave designs that are all very beautiful.
I don't believe in chance.
Their chassis builds are some of the best in the industry. Their chassis are very, very durable, very well built.
I don't believe in chance.
Nice and loud. They offer Golden Harvest, Profi, and CFX soundboards. And for your base Bendu Armory saber, as an example, if you were to purchase the hilt, the sleeve, along with the chassis and a blade, out the door, that would be somewhere in the range of $475 to $575, depending on the type of weave that you buy, because some of the weaves are more intricate than others. So there is a range there, right?
We can do this the simple way or the difficult way. The choice is yours.
But all of their sabers are beautiful, easy to operate, well balanced, dual capable. You can fight with these if you want to. Bendu Armory is also very well known for their high quality battle blades, which they do warranty for combat. And one of the other things I will say about them that makes them particularly attractive, especially to people who are budget conscious, is that their chassis cores are swappable. So you can do that initial investment of $500+ to get your first saber that has the core and the sleeve and the blade. And then if you see other weave designs, other sleeve designs on their site that you like, you can just purchase the sleeve for, how much that costs. Usually their sleeves, which is the equivalent of buying an empty hilt, they're usually somewhere between the $150 to $200 range, depending again on the complexity of the mold of the weave. So, and all of their sleeves on their site are compatible with their core, so their core will fit into any of their.
My name is Sam Clare.
I am Darth Talon. I am my master's hand. What we pretend to be, we often become.
So this is example number 1. This is Bendu Armory. Now this particular hilt, this is their obsidian hilt, and this happens to be my favorite of theirs. I own about 3 of their cores. I have about 3 of their cores. And then I own about 13 or 14 different sleeves that they've done. And I buy a lot of them in pairs because I like to fight with two sabers sometimes when I do dueling. So a lot of the different weave, I have like 6 or 7 weave designs where I have two of each, right? So and that's been collecting over like the last 3.5 years. So in terms of, you know, a budget conscious company, you know, where they're selling mid-tier sabers, and by mid-tier I mean in the price range of that $450 to $550. Their sabers are very high quality, worth every penny, and you know, it hits a lot of the value targets that I look for when I'm looking for a saber that I can actively use, you know, all of the time. The battery is removable, so you have to pop the sleeve out, pop the battery, and charge it in a charger when you want to do it. It doesn't use recharge ports, but barring that, these sabers are very easy to operate, very easy to use. Yeah, and they're beautiful. So that's example number 1. Example number 2. Saber Trio. This is a base brushed silver Senza. When I originally bought this, I bought it with the shrouds, so I have the shrouds, but I generally prefer to use it without the shrouds because I sort of like the design without the shrouds just as much as I do with. So, and this saber is also in that same price range. And that even includes their new power core that Saber Trio has recently released, which also is now swappable. So you can now purchase for instance, you can purchase a base brushed silver Senza, included with a power core with either Profi or CFX. And you can purchase it with a blade, and that will run you about $600. Once you have that first saber with that power core, you can go back and buy other hilts without the power core that just has the switch housing, and that power core will slide into all of those other hilts. So you now can essentially collect hilts only having one power core. So again, you're doing a little bit higher investment up front. You're spending a little bit more money up front, but you're seeing some savings on the back end, where a lot of these hilts will cost somewhere in the range of $225 to $250 per shot if you're just buying the hilt without the core. Okay, so, and again, Saber Trio, they're very well known in the saber community. Is doing really nice quality saber designs. Their customer service is second to none. Anytime you have any sort of a problem with them, they are very well known for taking care of their customers and doing it well. And as you can tell, the sound quality coming out of these things is amazing. I'll stack this saber up against any baseline, any base cheaper hilt you want to stack it up against, and it will sound better, it will swing better, it will feel better, it will look better. So that's example number 2. This is Saber Trio. Now, Saber Trio has about, I believe now they have like 8 or 9 different models of saber hilts. They've got the Senza, which is my second favorite. My favorite is the Vulcan. And they've got the like the Arclight, which is a smaller hilt, as well as the Skylar. And they got like their newest one, which is the Corvus, which has a crystal chamber built into the hilt, which is really cool. And then they've got like the cross guard and then the solo guard. And then they have the reaver, and I think I'm missing one other one. But yeah, all of their hilt designs are really, really nice. So this is another top-notch, mid-tier saber company. Third example, and this is the third one I have for tonight. I basically just grabbed three that I thought were all in the same sort of price range and quality range. Third example, Electrum Sabercrafts, and this is their Torrent hilt. So I've got two favorite hilt designs from Electrum, the Torrent and the Evaflex. So I grabbed the Torrent because that was the one that I had a blade in. So
You are no match for me. At last we will have revenge.
Again, quality of the builds on these are just beautiful. These are nice, slim, easy to wield profiles. Very amenable to moderate light dueling. Really nice for doing any kind of spinning or choreography. But the inner diameter of these hilts is still large enough at the pommel where this carries a 28mm speaker. So these things are nice and loud, and the venting is great. Sound quality on all three of these are just fantastic. So those are three examples of sort of mid-tier saber companies that that produce high-quality sabers at that mid-tier affordable range, where you're looking at on the cheap end about somewhere between $450 to $475. And then about $600 to $625 sort of on the top end, right? Somewhere in that range. So let's say, for example, you're just getting into the hobby, you're a little gun shy about spending a lot of money right away because you're not really sure what sabers are good and what sabers are not good. Companies like these have really good, really nicely professionally done websites. They have a lot of information about what's available in their products. They have good product descriptions. They have good support mechanisms, so it's easy to open support tickets and ask general questions, and you get helpful replies. Also, within the Saber community itself on Facebook primarily, you can always ask for advice in the various well-trafficked saber groups. I'll actually put in my video description some examples of saber groups that I frequent a lot. They have a lot of high traffic, and that get a lot of conversation. That people new to the hobby can join up and jump into and ask questions in terms of maybe specific saber styles that you're looking for, what might be a good company to look for. The advertisement stuff that comes on your Facebook feed for these fly-by-night companies that are offering you these massive discounts on these cheap-looking sabers, avoid that stuff. That stuff is crap. Now, I'm not going to knock the TXQ and the LGT Nexus saber stuff outright, because I think there are some distributors and resellers that sell those brands of sabers, and they do it reputably and they do it well. And those saber communities are healthy, thriving, and they are definitely a positive part of our saber community on the whole. But what I am running up against, what I am trying to fight against, are the drop shippers, the cheap people, the folks that are submitting product and basically bribing YouTube influencers to tell you that they have the best stuff around, and that CFX boards and Golden Harvest boards and Profi boards are no good, and that the only board you should be worried about is using Xeno because that's the best thing in the world, which is complete and total crap. And if you see YouTube influencers peddling that kind of nonsense, I encourage you to challenge their opinions in their comments, because this kind of stuff really can't go unchallenged. But really more what I want to say is, for the people who are in the hobby and are budget conscious and are worried about being able to spend money to get the type of saber that they want, if your budget is somewhere around $250 to $300, don't be dismayed by that reality. Look at some of these other mid-tier companies that are selling sabers for a little bit more, and figure out if there are ways that you can acquire these sabers, either on installment plans, or you can even look in some of the saber groups that buy, sell, and trade sabers, and see if you can pick up a used version of that saber for a little bit cheaper price. Because if you can, that's a way better value than going through these fly-by-night dropshipper companies that honestly don't deserve your business. All they're doing is well, first of all, a lot of these companies don't hold their own stock. They don't do their own customer support. All they really are middlemen who have set up a website that intakes your order, ships it off to a mass production plant in China, who actually does the fulfillment and ships it to you. The middleman takes off their 10 to 15% profit cut, and any support ticket, any problem you have, they basically forward that back to the fulfillment house, or they just give you some script-driven pablum that doesn't really help you. And I've seen way too many people come into our Facebook Saber groups after they've made the mistake of doing those initial purchases of these crap sabers, asking, hey, have you ever heard of, the Saber Y or Saber Z company? Is this any good? And it's like, no, never heard of them. They're not reputable to us. We don't know who they are. And sure enough, we go on their website and check them out, and they're just another drop shipment company for some really low quality mass produced junk sabers. So please try and avoid them. Your budget being what it is, just know that doesn't necessarily constrain you from getting good quality mid-tier sabers. There are other ways that you can do that creatively, and you can always ask for help in our Facebook groups. We're always looking to give people the best advice that we can in those groups, because we want people's saber experience to be positive. We want you to be able to get that saber that you really want, that's going to last for a long time, and that's of good quality. So if you have any questions, if you have any questions for me specifically in that regard, please feel free to drop a comment or a question. If you disagree with me, and you think I'm full of it and I'm just blowing hot air up your ass, leave a comment below and we can have a conversation. But other than that, I love this community. This community has done a lot for me. It's brought me a lot of joy, a lot of new friends, a lot of awesome, cool sabers that I never would have known about otherwise. So I try and give back in the ways that I think I'm able to. And I think this is one of them, where I feel like I can give some good advice based on my own past experience. So thank you all for listening. And as always, thanks again for supporting my channel. Take care, and I will see you on the next video. All right, take care, y'all.